is 5 on 20 News with Phyllis James.
And Richard Aguirre. Coming to you live from our studio in coming to you live from the studio in downtown Tucson, the Creative Tucson studio. That's where we're at. Today is Monday, August 21st, and we're going to start out with local headlines. Phyllis.
Thank you. Environmental groups are criticizing the Trump administration's decision to reverse a ban on the sale of plastic water bottles in national parks, which includes the Grand Canyon. The administration ended a 6-year-old rule that banned the bottle in order to curb pollution. The news announced by the National Park Service in a press release with language that looks similar to language used by lobbyists to argue against the ban.
Bruh.
Lobbyists from water giants such as Nestle have tried to relax the rule through the International Bottled Water Association. Lauren DeRusha Flores, campaign director for Corporate Accountability International, said that the rule reversal was a win-win for everyone except for the bottled water industry, which is only interested in the bottom line. The National Park Service responded that they would still encourage visitors to bring refillable bottles for their water, but would now be able to bring disposable bottles as well. The rule was implemented after it was found that plastic bottles made up 20% of the Grand Canyon's water and 30% of its recyclable waste.
Oh, yes.
One of the Trump administration's recent appointments at the Department of the Interior was David Bernhardt, who once was a lobbyist who specialized in water-related lobbying.
I love the Grand Canyon.
It's beautiful.
A Chinese transportation company is planning to bring a $20 million factory to Tucson to develop driverless trucks. Beijing-based Too Simple made the announcement today, which they said will create as many as 100 engineering jobs in Tucson. Too Simple is working to develop a driverless truck that can transport freight rather than focus on the private market, such as Tesla and Google. The company said that it tested its self-driving platform with a vehicle driving from San Diego to southern Arizona in June. That's exciting.
I'm a little nervous.
Cool story, bro.
I don't know.
She told me she was nervous.
The Arizona Supreme Court ruled on Thursday that Tucson cannot destroy confiscated guns because it violates the state law. The ruling ends the city's practice of destroying the guns, a program that began in 2005 but was suspended last December. Tucson Mayor Jonathan Rothschild criticized the decision, saying that ruling will take Arizona down the wrong path by limiting cities' ability to self-govern. Normal practice in Arizona has law enforcement self-confiscated guns at local auctions. The Tucson rule aimed to eliminate the guns completely so that they didn't fall into the wrong hands. In Arizona, gun dealers can take advantage of the so-called gun loophole, which allows dealers to sell guns without conducting a background check. Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich disagreed with Rothschild, calling the ruling a win and said that it makes clear that cities cannot ignore state law. Tucson City Councilman Steve Kosachik called Brnovich a hypocrite for reducing local control of government. He said that they say they want local control too, then they say, oh, by the way, we'll tell you how to do it.
Sounds like they need to get it under control. The per capita income drooped over the last decade for African Americans in Arizona, the only racial or ethnic group that did not see an increase according to new data from the Census Bureau. But the news wasn't much better for the state's Asian community, who saw their buying decrease by 2.7% over the past decade. In the same span of time, African American buying power in Arizona decreased by over 9%. Experts say the changes were largely impacted by the 2008 recession and the ensuing housing crisis. Altogether, Arizona's income dropped by over 7% from 2006 to 2015, as the state was one of the hardest hit by the housing crisis. Mark Alston from the National Association of Real Estate Brokers says that the crisis hit African Americans extra hard, with between 87 and 90% of their wealth lost in the recession.
And I wanted to take a moment to talk about the program you're watching right now. Here at 5 on 20, we are undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism. We are going to give you the news as we see it, and we want more people to speak up with us. We need writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, sound people, the whole gamut. The times require a new way of informing ourselves. So join us. Do it now. Email us at info@creativetucson.org to get involved. And if you think there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event we should cover, or have any news tips for us, shoot an email to info@creativetucson.org. We are here for you, and we want to cover all stories from all points of views. So don't be strangers.
Don't be strange. Yeah, no problem. The Advisory Committee for the Sustained National Climate Assessment was a 15-person panel made up of academics, corporate employees, and local officials. Their goal was to simplify findings from the National Climate Assessment for those inside and outside of the federal government. The National Climate Assessment is a mandated report on the progress of climate change, which was leaked last month. The leaked report concluded that Americans are already feeling the effects of climate change and said that it's extremely likely that the majority of the global temperature will increase over the next 60 The majority of the global temperature increase over the past 60 years are due to human activity. Scientists who worked on the report are worried that the Trump administration will bury the results by not releasing the results. They worry because the Trump administration has so far shown support for fossil fuels while downplaying the increases in solar and wind technology. The White House says that it's in the process of reviewing a final version of the report.
U.S. officials say that South Korea will go ahead with joint war games next week, even though tensions with North Korea remain high. North Korea considers the military exercises to be a rehearsal for invasion and usually lashes out at both countries when the exercises take place around this time every year. Analysts predict that the routine war games could ratchet up the tension because of the latest back and forth between the U.S. and North Korea. It was reported last week that North Korea successfully miniaturized a nuclear warhead that could be mounted on a missile. This makes it more likely that North Korea would be able to hit U.S. territory if pushed to do so. Military experts say that the country is already able to hit the U.S. territory of Guam and may be able to hit Alaska. Last week, North Korean President Kim Jong-un threatened to launch a series of missiles into waters surrounding Guam as a warning against further U.S. aggression. But Kim eventually backed off, which Trump said was a wise decision. The 10-day Ultra-Freedom Guardian exercise began today. They serve to train South Korea for dealing with an attack by the North. It includes about 17,500 U.S. troops, along with troops from Australia, Canada, Colombia, Denmark, New Zealand, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. Last month, China and Russia floated a proposal to hold off on the exercises in order to decrease tensions in the region. However, U.S. officials vowed to press on with the drills.
Goodbye, my lover.
Bunch of troublemakers.
This is getting dangerous. Yes.
Well, we'll end on a positive note here today. Afghan pop singer Ariana Saeed decided to perform for hundreds of young men and women in Kabul despite opposition from the conservatives and a series of death threats. The city of Kabul has been experiencing a string of suicide attacks in the past few months, making the performance that much more dangerous. But Saeed took the stage regardless, wearing her signature long hair and figure-hugging outfits, which makes her such a target of the conservatives in Afghanistan. Saeed has received a number of death threats from those who say that her outfits and public shows are an insult to Afghan culture. She was originally supposed to play at the Ghazi Stadium to mark the country's independence, but authorities said that they couldn't guarantee her safety there. The show was moved to a different venue as a result. In an interview with the BBC, Saeed said that this was a very good excuse to be able to give a bit of happiness to my fellow Afghans who are in dire need at the moment. She said that she was donating the proceeds of her concert to those killed by Islamic militants in a recent attack on the village of Mirza Ulang.
This was 5 on 20 News with Phyllis James
And Richard Aguirre. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, share our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that's where you'll find all of the Creative Tucson content. You'll find my stuff, her stuff.
Yes.
Feel free to bother us at info@creativetucson.org. And thanks for hanging out with us.
Stay creative, Tucson.